Hey Jags, today we're here with Mr. Parrish for another episode of JAGcast. So,
good to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, Cayton.
Yeah. So tell me about the types of music.
Cayton, you're in my music appreciation class, and I mean we've done a little bit of everything. We've talked about folk music going all the way back to like the American Revolution, and then we talked about jazz music and blues and rock and roll, and we've been finishing out the semester with some more recent stuff like pop music and stuff from the 90s and today, and yeah, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
What's been your favorite part so far?
Right now, I don't really know. It's just a bunch of interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of like all that. I don't know. It's just a bunch of stuff that I didn't know about celebrities and the types of music.
Yeah, I feel like there's a little something for everybody in each of those time frames. It's just most people don't listen to that stuff regularly. So my job is to showcase a little bit of each decade or genre of music as we go through from like the mid 1700s all the way till today, and be like, okay, this is the important stuff from that time, and here's why our music is related to that music, and trying to bring that out in maybe how our students listen to music, maybe broaden horizons a little bit.
Yeah. So tell me about jazz and bluegrass.
Jazz and bluegrass. Well, bluegrass develops from the folk tradition in the Appalachian Mountains, and it's very, very much passed down by word of mouth and by ear. It's not necessarily something that's written down, folk music, for hundreds of years, and that's how every culture starts passing down their folk music. And over time, we start hearing patterns of this and that emerge, and it gets a little more defined. And then bluegrass, the music we call bluegrass today, is still informed by those sounds, the sounds of the Appalachian Mountains in the 1800s. If you've ever been to places like Branson and like Silver Dollar City, you probably still hear some of those sounds on that, like on those stages down there. And it goes on to inform things like country music that we listen to today, other styles of blues that then go on to inform how jazz is spread. And jazz is a truly American art form. It's the only 100% American art form. So people who were enslaved back in the days of slavery would have had work songs that they used to pass time, and they also used to keep the work in sync together so that they could work more efficiently, and also used to pass messages from one group to the other so that they could say like, hey, the Underground Railroad's coming, Harriet Tubman's here, we gotta go, it's tonight, are you coming? Those messages were hidden in those songs. That tradition gets passed down at the same time the folk music and bluegrass is coming up. And after freedom is achieved, people from that background would have gone to big cities like New Orleans and Kansas City and New York City, and they would have spread those traditions around in the form of like ragtime. People like Scott Joplin would have been really popular. And then it takes off, and we learn about in that class how it spread from New Orleans and Kansas City and New York City to other parts of the country, and how it changed into what we think of as jazz, because early jazz doesn't, when you listen to that, right, it doesn't sound quite like what we're thinking of in terms of jazz music. But then how it evolves and changes into even the jazz music that's present today, but also the rock and pop and other influences that it still has over our pop music today. So yeah, pretty fun stuff.
Yeah. So what music was after that? Like, how did it go from bluegrass to that?
So bluegrass to and jazz, how they jump from where they are to the next. It would have been still, especially early days, passed on word of mouth. But there you can hear influences of like the ragged type rhythm from ragtime, that syncopation, would have been what was influencing the popular music around the world. When we get radio on the scene, like that was a huge deal. People could listen to music anywhere. When we get record players, that was a huge deal. People could listen to music at their homes. People were able to hear those sounds more frequently. Well, that made it so that not only do I recognize that tune, but now this is the definitive version of that tune. Stuff got a little more codified. Like they would say, okay, this is how that thing is supposed to sound now. So therefore music lost a little bit of its passed down by word of mouth tradition. And they would have had, people who said, I really like the sound that's going on in this community or that community, and they would have taken that and sold it to record companies, and record companies would say, yes, this is awesome, and they'd go sell that. And it's really, from that point on, it's the music would just kind of sell itself, you know what I mean? Whatever was still selling, make more music that sounds like that. And slowly that kind of makes the music change and shift until people realize, yes, this is what people will buy. Don't make more of this stuff over here. People aren't buying that stuff. And the genres kind of start to merge a little bit. And just do that over and over again for 80, 90 years. And then that's how music genres kind of shift and change.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about the 4 chords.
4 chords. So early music that would have been on the radio or sold in records would have had tons of chords. Maybe not just major and minor sounds. Major is like do, mi, so, or 1, 3, 5. A minor sound would be do, me, so. That middle note is a little bit lower than the higher note. We think of those two as being the majority of sounds these days, right? But in the days of jazz, there would have been major chords, minor chords, diminished chords, augmented chords. There would have been sustained chords. All of that, I know it's going over most people's heads, but it means there was a lot of variety in the music. If you listen to around the holidays, you listen to any, Christmas or holiday music, you hear a lot of the jazz standards that we still listen to at Christmas time. They have all kinds of chords in them. But really in the 60s, people started figuring out, if I just use 4 chords, I can make a pop song. Also, I don't need all these other chords. And so instead of going, from on these long meandering paths through the music and having these wonderful, interesting, rich chords, people just started going 1, 6, 4, 5, and you could make any song with it. We watched a video where these guys called the Axis of Awesome, this singing group from Australia, they take those 4 chords and they sing like every pop song for the last 30 years with it. That's the, hey, people bought this music and it was simpler, so sell more music like that. And another group over here realized the same thing. Hey, a lot of people really like this song. It was super simple. Let's make more music that sounds like that. Do that over and over again for decades, and now everyone uses the 4-chord formula.
Yeah. Is that what Michael Jackson and Elvis Presley did?
Elvis's music is still really informed by early rock and roll, so some of his music definitely fits into that mold. Others don't, and it's not a hard, fast rule. It doesn't work for everybody. There are musicians today that still do lots of chords in their songs. They don't just stick to 4. Thinking of Christmas tunes, Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas Is You" at the beginning has lots and lots of variations in the chords they use. Once it gets into the song, however, it feels a lot more like a 4-chord rock song. But that beginning has several, not extra chords, but more jazz-informed chords at the beginning. Michael Jackson grew up in the soul tradition and in the disco era, and so a lot of his music is more varied and interesting than just a typical 4-chord song.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So I think I'm gonna wrap this up.
Sure.
That's fun. Thanks for coming and doing this with me.
Cayton, thank you for inviting me. It's been fun talking about this stuff.
Yeah. So that was our episode of JAGcast. I'm here with Mr. Parrish, and if you want your fine arts credit, you want to take music appreciation. He talks about a bunch of stuff like that. So I'm Cayton Martin, and I'll see you in January.
See you guys.